this season for the season to be extended. But one other thing that sort of came to my attention, and I don't know if it's been mentioned today or not, but I'm an absolutely disgusted Celtic fan with something that I've heard and saw over the past 48 hours from Rangers fans in Europe, and I've only seen two reporters talking about it, which was Graham Spears and Brian McNally of the Mirror, and it was with Rangers fans when they were in Lisbon and the chanting that was taking place. And I'm absolutely appalled and disgusted by what I've actually saw on the internet and it was actually on Portuguese television. And I wonder if you guys had actually saw it and if there's been any comment made about it.
Well, none of the four of us were in Lisbon on Thursday night, and I have not heard any comment about it. Hugh, have you?
I know that Graham Spears has written about it.
Written about it or tweeted? Tweeted, right.
I think these matters must be dealt with through the appropriate channels. There would be a UEFA observer at the game. If anything untoward has taken place, then you rely on the observer, or in a domestic match, the Premier League delegate, doing his job properly, submitting a report. So we will wait and see, Sean, if anything is reported to the appropriate source, which is UEFA.
Yeah, the kind of hurtful thing from my point of view and as a Celtic fan is I'm reading the comments about Ali McCoist when he was appointed the Rangers manager, and fair play to him, he's been a Rangers legend, and you know, at the end of the day I hope he always finishes second to Celtic. But he was talking about Tommy Burns,
yes,
and the actual photographs and the TV pictures of Rangers fans abusing the memory of Tommy Burns. It just really it left a really bad taste in my mouth, and it was very sour to watch, and I was absolutely disgusted by it, and I just felt it's something that should be highlighted. Now I know every club has an element, and I'm not just talking about Rangers. Every club in the UK has an element,
including Celtic, Sean, including Celtic.
That's what I'm saying.
That's fair.
I go to every game, Jim, home and away, and we have our element as well, but I have to say I was disappointed there was nothing highlighted about it. I was expecting it to maybe front page news this morning or yesterday.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sean, you've taken my breath away with the idea that there was anything defamatory against someone who I considered a friend, and I've got to say, in this whole thing about horrible singing from one side to the other, you cannot get a more powerful image in Glasgow than Walter Smith and Ali McCoist carrying Tommy's coffin. Hugh is mentioning the fact, or it was you, Sean, that Ali McCoist, even when being given this official title of Rangers manager in a number of months, he makes reference to Tommy Burns when he's...
That was a thing from my point of view, Andy.
Well, exactly. So this idea that we have to talk about something like that, I mean, you're giving a number of people, I don't know how many that it was, but you're giving them credibility, and they just don't have any. I think people like that should be named and shamed, Andy. That's my point of view. After Tommy Burns died, there was numerous Rangers fans came to Celtic Park and laid wreaths, scarves, and they were applauded by Celtic fans. You see, the Celtic fans went to Ibrox, and we had a minute's silence in memory of the Ibrox disaster, which was impeccably observed, and and it's a sad indictment of our society, but I just think people like that have no place in our society, but I just think it should be highlighted. I do. Sean,
you've highlighted. I'm going to ask you one question. We're all uncomfortable about this, all of us, okay?
Yes.
Now, you've seen the video, we haven't. Are we talking 3 nutcases or 300?
I'm probably talking maybe about a dozen to 20.
So it's a small minority?
Yes, but whether one's too many, Jim, in my eyes.
Sure, absolutely. Take that point.
I do see it at Celtic matches, and I'm appalled, but I have to say this was it's beneath contempt, Jim, and I just think it has to be highlighted. And after reading the story about Ali McCoist in the paper, and the first person he thought about was Tommy Burns, and I thought, fair play to you, Ali. I've got a lot of time for people like that. But the knuckle draggers I don't have any time for, but I just think people like that have to be named and shamed, and I'm sure if Rangers Football Club or Ali McCoist had actually saw it, their stomach would turn.
Well, I had to speak to Ali last night about another matter, and talking about the events of the week, and he keeps on talking about Tommy. You know, it's amazing, you know, the things that we're having a laugh about some Tommyisms, you know, the side of Tommy's nature that you and I both know, Andy, the laughs they had together when they were working with Walter Smith under the umbrella of the national team, and the affection was and is genuine, and Ali McCoist would be upset by these stories. The tragedy for Celtic and Rangers is that Sean can refer to 12 to 20 people. They have tens of thousands of supporters. So you've got 10 to 20 undesirables behaving in what is a subhuman fashion. You cannot tar the club, Celtic or Rangers, with that, because they have done their level best to try and eradicate this. And Andy's perfectly correct. When Walter and Ali carried Tommy's coffin into St Mary's Church in the Carlton, that should have been a defining moment. That should have been the pivotal moment in Old Firm relations. But Sean, it's very, very difficult. You can't legislate for absolutely everyone, and those who have behaved in this fashion will need to live with themselves if they're capable of that concept.
I think, Sean, what we have to be careful of is not to let this get to be too much an issue that's debated, because of a few people have just dragged the club's name and have really behaved appallingly. We have to balance that against debating this too much in public, Sean, and look at the feelings of Tommy's family as well in all of this. So, yeah, absolutely right, it should not go on. You take my breath away. I had no idea it happened. It was totally wrong. A few people have just dragged the Rangers name down, but let's think of Tommy's family and not turn this into a public debate.
Yeah, please do.